Good afternoon, everybody. It's Big Boy. I'm gonna thought of a couple more safety tips after hunting with a grandson over the weekend. And one thing on these videos, I'm gonna keep the titles vague, hopefully to avoid the YouTube algorithm. And I'm gonna keep these kid friendly. Not gonna cuss, not gonna drink. Uh, so if you got a kid you think you'd help them watch, by all means, let them watch them. Share them however you want to share them. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to go back to this 700 again. I'm sure there's a ton of these still out there in circulation. Wait a minute, before we do that, I want to talk about this first. Youth model rifles. Um, I'm glad to see a lot of these bolt action guns being made in youth models. Uh, all of them I've seen, I know my grandsons have two different ones, one Mossberg, one Remington. They both have detachable box magazines, which I think is good. They can drop the mag out full of ammo and just open the bolt with the safety on and remove the rounds in the chamber. Um, Work with your kid and get them down a specific way you want them to do that. My rule of thumb is take the mag out, lay it down, leave the weapon on safe, hold it in a safe direction, pull the bolt open, take the loaded round out of the chamber. Also, some of them are, I think most of them are going to be 4 rounds, although they may hold 5. My rule of thumb is to have them do the same amount every time. And I'll bring this up because my oldest grandson, I was checking his the other day. I wasn't paying attention to him. He's over there putting rounds in the mag, and I shoved it in the gun for me. Well, I went to pull the bolt back. I couldn't pull the bolt back. I said, it's wrong. And I realized I popped the mag. I said, how many bullets did you put in this thing? Oh, no, it filled it up. Somehow he managed to cram 6 rounds in there and still get the mag in the gun, which was too tight, wouldn't let the bolt come back. My rule of thumb, these Remington 700s are 4 round integral box mags. And that's all I ever hunt with. I put 4 in the gun and then chamber one of those. And I told him only put 4 in the mag and chamber one of those and get used to it. So you do the same thing every time. Only other tip I can give you on youth model rifles, there's some single shot youth models out there. And if you get one of them in a 243, 308, you're going to get a gun that's going to kick the crap out of a kid. My youngest grandson started out one of those, and it almost ruined him because he got shot at one time and it hurt him. He got a little spooked on it. So the bolt guns don't kick that bad, but consider this. Consider a 22 250. If the kid knows how to shoot and can aim and make a good shot, 22 250 will kill a deer. My grandson killed both his bucks with my 22 250, and neither one of them went over 20 steps. So he made a good shot on them. All right, we're gonna go back and talk about this 700 in a second. I talked about this the other day, and I wanted to be sure I was kind of clear on something. This gun, again, can't be pulled off bolt open with no safe. So you got to put it on fire. So we're going to simulate 4 rounds. YouTube, this is an empty hull. We'll say that's the 4th round in the mag. Now he wants to close the bolt, but he don't want it chambered. Get them in the habit of, they may have to sit down to do it, but take their fingers like this, press down slightly, and start easing the bolt forward, and you'll feel the bolt go over the top of the round, and they can watch and make sure they're not carrying one in there. They close the bolt on an empty chamber, and they got a full mag. Now, when they want to chamber it or unload it, you pull it back, and say they just want that round will kick out. Say they want to load the rest of them. If they'll just go up a little bit till that round releases out of the mag, and I just got the mag home, then they can just do that number like that, dump it out in their hand. The main thing with these integral mag rifles like these 700s is they get in the habit of pushing down and then easing the bolt forward, and they'll push the bolt over the loaded mag of rounds, and they shouldn't have any problem. All right, let me get one more here. I'm going to show you the youth model of my youth, the youth gun of mine. And we talked about this the other day, the Marlin 3030. And this, and I didn't realize till I got out of my dad's safe, this is one of the most mint condition 3030s I've ever seen. See, it's even still got the labels left on the forearm it's shipped with. This is one of the earlier ones. It does not have a hammer block safety, but it does have this lever here on the hammer to aid in letting the hammer down, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. This was the youth model gun of my youth. I don't know how many of these are out there in circulation. This gun I know dates back to the 40s, this particular model, in different variations. This is a typical 70s model here. Actually, a cousin of mine bought this on an elk hunt in the late 70s, and he was going out on horseback. He felt like he needed a saddle gun, and actually my dad's got the saddle scabbard at the house that come with it. Just to give you an idea how many of these things are in circulation. When I worked for Walmart in the late 70s, I mentioned on an earlier video selling 5 of them in 4 hours night before deer season. We'd run these on sale every year in the fall, and we got them by the case. We didn't buy 3 or 4. We'd get cases of 6 of them, and probably 30 or 40 at a time that we sold every sale. There's not how many hundreds of these I've sold in the 7 years I worked there. All right, this thing holds 6 rounds. You have to load it. I'm not going to load it on the line. They just slide in here, and they slide up in this tube similar to a pump shotgun. Very imperative that you do not ever let anybody load you a pointed bullet. You always have to shoot the flat pointed, or this new Lever Revolution ammo, which I know nothing about. All the ammo I've ever fired was just been the old traditional 30-30 flat point 150 grain bullet. If you let a spire pointed bullet get loaded in here, and the minute you throw this thing down, they open it and they slam back, they'll chain fire. And I've seen a picture of one of these that somebody done that, and everything from here up was shrapnel. And I can just imagine what that would do to your hand. Okay, you've loaded 6 rounds in the gun. So now comes time to chamber it. Pull her down, shut it. You got a chambered round. You also have a cocked rifle. This is where a lot of them been let go off by mistake, myself included. And a buddy of mine I was telling about that watched that video told me he did the same thing with a Winchester. This thing has a little old deal to pull the lever up to make the soil go off, I believe. I'm going to check that. Hold that down, let the hammer go, pull the trigger, let the hammer go forward easy. Main thing is get them to do this in a safe direction, usually up, so you don't let this thing go off by mistake. This scope is mounted low, so you really do have to have this little accessory hammer shoe on the side of it for it to let it down halfway safely. Now you're sitting there with the gun resting against a loaded round. Be very careful that don't get hit. Really don't understand why we didn't have more accidents with these when I was a kid. Now, the only way to safely unload one of these things is you got to go every round, just like this. You kick them all out. Now you notice I put my fingers here. I haven't got a finger in this trigger group. This is how I let mine go off. Try to unload it, come back, I hit the trigger. So, you have to be careful with that. Now, this does have a little tab on it. Let's see. Nope, it's still firing without pulling it up. So, if you got one of these you let a kid use, one of these older models doesn't have hammer block safety, really, really work with them before you let them go off with it, because these things could be an accident waiting to happen. Alright. 2 other things, right quick, we're going to talk about. Number 1, and believe it or not, this still happens. It happened as recently as this last year up here in our county where I live. And it happened, I'm going to tell you the story about what somebody told me at Walmart years ago. The proverbial sound shot. A sound shot is where somebody sees a thicket and they hear something in it and they think it's a deer without positively identifying it's a deer, and they shoot through the thicket. But many hunters hurt and killed people doing that. or cows, dogs, anything other than what they thought they were shooting at killed. Do not take a sound shot. 9 times out of 10, you hear something walking through the woods, it's either a squirrel or an armadillo. You'll very rarely ever actually hear a deer. I think I may have heard one time because I heard something. I thought I heard something come up behind me, and I actually turned around and looked, and it was my first 8 point. But I didn't turn around with a gun in hand. I just turned my head around and looked. Do not take a sound shot. I'll give you a story of my experience with a hunter and sound shots. When I worked for Walmart in the late 70s, I got to know all the hunters because we was a main area people come for ammo, hunting licenses, supplies. 3 or 4 guys come in up there on night 4 season, and they was buying sleeping bags, Coleman stuff, and stoves and lanterns. Got talking to them, come find out they were Dallas hunters who somebody broke in their camp before they got down there and stole all their stuff, so they just had to replace it so they could stay and hunt, which is bad. I don't like anybody stealing anybody's camp stuff or hunting equipment at all. Well, 3 or 4 days later, here they come back in out of the woods to get some things. You can tell they hadn't come out yet, hadn't shaved, that kind of stuff. And I was talking to the guy I talked to the other night, well, y'all had any luck? He said, well, I took a good sound shot this morning. I go, you what? Yeah, I heard a buck over in the bushes. You didn't see him? No, but he was a buck. He was there. I know it was a sound. I took a good sound shot. Okay, thank y'all for shopping at Walmart. I appreciate it. Of course, being local, I knew all the local hunters in that area. And anytime I seen one come in, I told them, hey, y'all be careful. You got a hunter out there taking sound shots. All right, I got one last thing we're going to cover here. Pull this up. I got setting on it. All right. This is a Duluth jacket. Carhartt makes the same jacket. This tannish brown work jacket. They're great. They break the wind real good. They're real tough. They wear real easy. They turn water and rain a little bit. I wear this daily around the place. Do not wear this deer hunting. Okay? Look at the color of it. You don't want to wear anything in the woods similar to what a deer looks like. Camo, green, anything is better than wearing something light brown or tan. Now on that note, if you hunt in an area that requires hunter orange, by all means wear it. Some states require so much hunter orange vest and an orange hat. I hunted on federal land years ago that required that. The only thing I will say about hunter orange in deer hunting is get you a vest that's actually cloth. Don't wear any plastic. Because I've had this happen to me. I had a plastic vest on one day out there, and I stepped out of the woods. Of course, plastic makes noise. One thing that's wrong with it. I stepped out of the woods, and I seen a deer crossing about 75 yards from me. He looked down there. I hadn't moved. He looked and turned and wheeled and run. But I come to figure out I was in the sun. The vest was reflective. The sun glinted off of it. He could see that. I wore a cloth vest and just a regular orange hat and had them walk right past me, never pay a bit of attention to it. So, yes, by all means wear it. It saves a lot of hunters' lives by wearing it if you feel safe for doing it, especially with kids. I highly recommend it. Turkey hunters, predator hunters, you won't see wearing hunter orange. But there ain't as many of us in the woods there at that time as there is during deer season. All right, well, I don't know if this channel will ever take off, but I'm do these for fun anyway. Next video, we may talk a little more about predator hunting. Anybody got any suggestions or comments, let me know. And like I said, the titles will be vague. Language will be kid friendly. And if you think anything will get a kid to watch these will help them be a safer hunter, by all means do it. I appreciate it. It's Big Boy. Adios.